Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk is live and direct on a Wednesday. Happy Hump Day, one and all. Thanks for being here. We're hanging out for the next 3 hours on the sports voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW FM 104.9. Online at 580WIBW.com. On your mobile device, on the MSC radio app, and on YouTube. On our 580 Sports Talk channel. However, wherever, whenever you're tuning in to the program today, thanks so much for being a part of 580 Sports Talk. My name is Dan Lucero. Spencer Dupuy will be along in the 4 o'clock hour. Got another great show for you today in the middle of our sports desert, the day after the Major League Baseball All-Star Game. And speaking of arid and dry, last night's Major League Baseball All-Star Game. I've got some thoughts. The nationwide audience who tuned in to the Midsummer Classic did not see a lot of offense. And maybe it will sink in after watching last night's game that all of the folks who sit in front of the TV and watch baseball and bemoan what it used to be. I don't understand why guys don't bunt, hit behind the runner, just choke up and put it in play with 2 strikes. Do you all see how impossible that is now? Do you see it now? After that pitching display by a collection of pitchers that, while very good, was not even all that representative of the best pitchers in baseball when you really get down to it. And there were as many strikeouts in that game last night, a 4-0 win by the American League, as there were other outs. 54 outs in the game, 27 up and down each side. 54 outs, 27 strikeouts combined. It's impossible to hit a baseball in a major league game. It's just about impossible. So we'll talk about that a little bit, and also why it is that Major League Baseball is the only major sport that does not believe the sport itself sells itself. Long-term complaint on my part, but really reared its ugly head again last night during the All-Star Game in Philadelphia. We'll get into some of that, and then we'll get into some football. We're going to talk plenty of football. It's getting closer, folks. It's getting closer by the day. Got 2 interviews for you today. The last of our Big 12 Media Days interviews runs today. We will have exhausted ourselves of Big 12 Football Media Days content by show's end. In fact, by hour's end, because coming up at the bottom of this hour, we'll play you my chat with Rex Van Whye, the senior linebacker for the Kansas State Wildcats. Probably don't know a whole lot about Rex and his story, even if you're a diehard Cat fan, and got to know Rex a little bit. So looking forward to playing that conversation with you. That'll be the last of our, gosh, we came home with a lot of interviews, but we came home with 9 player interviews, 5 Kansas, 4 Kansas State, and this is the last of them, Rex Van Whye. Whether we save the best for last, up to you. Maybe you enjoyed one interview more than the other, but we've got one last player interview to bring you from our Big 12 Media Days coverage, and that's coming up. Rex Van Whye from Kansas State, bottom of this hour. Also at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour, Ryan Gilbert, managing editor, GoPowerCat.com, will join us. Gills was at Big 12 Football Media Days. A little bit off the beaten path for Ryan Gilbert, who writes a lot more basketball for GoPowerCat.com, but we'll get his impressions from the Big 12 Media Days experience and a little football, a little basketball with Ryan Gilbert for the Wildcat Wrap-Up, sponsored by Tallgrass Windows and Doors. That's coming up at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. And speaking of Media Days, you may have noticed that for the second consecutive year, the Big 12 Conference did not solicit an opinion from anybody about how the Big 12 would finish. There was no coaches poll. There was no media poll because the Big 12 was really convinced that Arizona State coming out of nowhere and winning the league 2 years ago was bad for business because everybody thought they were going to be an also-ran, and they won the league, and the Big 12 thought that hurt Arizona State's seeding in the college football playoff. And since the playoff is the only thing that matters in college football, period, comma, exclamation point anymore, we don't have a preseason poll anymore. But just because the Big 12 didn't ask for our opinion doesn't mean we don't have one. So Spencer and I are going to bring you a Big 12 preseason poll of our own here on 580 Sports Talk. We'll do that in the 4 o'clock hour today. Also, if you are a Kansas City Royals fan, I have a question for you. Do you know ball? Do you know ball, Royals fans? Because I got a PR email that says you don't. Not a joke. There apparently was some kind of survey out there and baseball knowledge exam. And Royals fans on the aggregate didn't score particularly well in this bit of baseball trivia. We're going to see how Spencer scores and how you all score, because I've got the questions. And we're going to see how much ball you know coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. How much baseball you know. Plus, we've got our typical Wednesday shenanigans on the program. We got one got to go. We got our 580 Sports Talk headlines, including a World Cup roundup. The World Cup final will be set in anywhere between 40 to 70-ish minutes of soccer from now. England and Argentina playing in the second semifinal of the 2026 World Cup. We'll do a World Cup roundup, look ahead to the Open Championship, which starts bright and early from Royal Birkdale tomorrow. We got What Is Wrong With You coming your way as well. And we'll continue our countdown to Chiefs kickoff. So that's all coming up on the show today, plus your interaction with the program. I want to hear from you. 785-272-9429. That is 785-272-9429. You can also get at me in the live chat on YouTube. Name of the channel is 580 Sports Talk. 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. Go subscribe to the channel. All it costs you is a click or a tap of the screen. You get notified when we go live. You get access to all of our video archive. It's great stuff, if I do say so myself. 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. Britt first into the chat today. See Mark H. I see Cameron. I see Vance. Appreciate you folks for dialing in. Christopher's in as well. Thanks for being a part of the chat. Look forward to interacting with you throughout the show and seeing that 580 Sports Talk community grow in the live chat today. Major League Baseball All-Star Game was last night. And you didn't miss much. You didn't miss a lot of baseball in the Baseball All-Star Game. I can tell you that. There was almost more singing. I do wonder if you ran a stopwatch between the scheduled start of the game, which was 7 o'clock Central Time, and the final out. Was there more time where the ball was in play, or was there more time where somebody was singing? There's a lot of singing going on. The national anthem, very long. Patti LaBelle has earned the right to do whatever she wants with that song, I think. She's had a great career, and she appeared in an episode of Blue's Clues. So Patti LaBelle's good money with me. But a lengthier than usual national anthem. Boys to Men showed up. Disappointed they didn't do Motown Philly. I would have sang along. God Bless America, because you got to do God Bless America, because, you know, it's a baseball thing. And Take Me Out to the Ball Game, which I guess they don't show that on TV. There's a lot of singing. A lot of singing happening at last night's baseball All-Star Game. What there were not a lot of were balls in play. What there were not a lot of were extra base hits. There weren't any of those in the game until the 8th inning when the Miguel Vargas of the White Sox dinged a dong off of Justin Wroblewski for the Dodgers, who, fun fact about Wroblewski, first pitcher to get more than 3 outs in an All-Star Game outing in 5 years. And one of only 4 to strike out 5 batters in a 2-inning span in the history of the Major League Baseball All-Star Game. Strikeouts were the name of the game. 27 of the 54 outs were recorded by strikeouts. The best hitters in the world, most of them anyhow, were totally overwhelmed by the pitchers on display last night. And that'd be one thing if I felt like the pitchers who pitched last night were a full accounting of the best pitchers in the world. But I got to thinking, your list of the 10 best pitchers in baseball might be different than mine, might be different than the next man's. But I think if you have a list of the 10 best pitchers in baseball, you probably have Jacob Misiorowski of the Milwaukee Brewers on that list. You probably have Paul Skeens of the Pittsburgh Pirates on that list, though he's had a bit of a bumpy month and change this year. You would probably have Tarek Skubal of the Detroit Tigers on that list. He deserves to be on that list, back-to-back Cy Youngs. You would probably have Shohei Ohtani of the Los Angeles Dodgers on that list. If you don't, go look at his numbers and then put him on your list. You would probably, on the basis of his form this season, where he looks like he's going to win the American League Cy Young, have Cam Schlittler. God, you got to be careful saying that name live on radio. Cam Schlittler of the New York Yankees, probably on your list of the top 10 pitchers in baseball. Zach Wheeler of the hometown Phillies. Go look at his numbers if you don't believe me. That's a top 10 pitcher in baseball. That's 6 guys. 6 guys I would put in the top 10 in Major League Baseball right now without even a second thought. Did not pitch in last night's All-Star Game for a variety of reasons. Also not pitching in last night's All-Star Game, guys like Yoshinobu Yamamoto, reigning World Series MVP, Chris Sale, who won a Cy Young not too long ago, Garrett Cole, who's won a Cy Young in recent vintage. Lot of great pitchers. Some of the very best did not pitch last night. The guys who were left over struck out 27 batters. Pitcher after pitcher entered that game last night and made you wonder how anybody ever gets a hit off of them. And in the case of some of the game's dominant relievers who we got to see last night, we only got to see Mason Miller for 1 out, which is kind of a drag. Yohan Duran of the Phillies, he got his whole entrance, though Fox wouldn't show it to you. Cade Smith of the Guardians, you follow the AL Central, you know how good he is. Aroldis Chapman's been doing it for years. Royal great, Aroldis Chapman. In the case of those guys, very few actually ever do get a hit off of them. And that speaks to text from the 785 that we have here. You know, a lot of it being hard to hit in modern baseball and it having been hard to hit last night is a side effect of pitchers only having to really worry about throwing 1 inning at a time. Yes, that is absolutely true. It's a different game today than it was 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. You can't wait out a starting pitcher and get to him the 3rd time through or the 4th time through the batting order because teams know starting pitchers aren't as good against lineups the 3rd time or the 4th time through the batting order. So you're seeing somebody else. And all of the somebody else's throw insanely hard with wicked breaking balls, and they come in for an inning, 25 pitches, and they let her rip. That's everybody. And I know that I've gotten on this soapbox on this show before. It used to be if somebody threw 100 miles an hour, they were a freak. If somebody threw 100 miles an hour, you knew their name. You knew their name. They were something like either a star or at least a phenomenon if they threw 100 miles an hour. And, I mean, you had to be able to throw it over the plate. They're, you know, the history of baseball is littered with guys who could throw it through the side of a barn but might not hit the barn from 60 feet, 6 inches away. But if you could throw 100 for the occasional strike, you were a star, or at the very least, you were somebody to know because you did something that not everybody else could do. Everybody does it now. Everybody's throwing, maybe not literally 100 miles an hour, but everybody's in the upper 90s. Everybody's got crazy spin. And you see at least If you are a major league hitter and you come to the plate 4 times in a given game, you are going to see a starting pitcher at his freshest once, and you are probably going to see 2 relief pitchers. 2 very different relief pitchers. You might see a lefty and a righty. You might see a side armor, and a guy who comes over the top. You might see somebody with a 3/4 delivery. You might see the big fastball. You might see a cut fastball. You might see a sinker. Go back and watch any baseball played in the 80s, even in the 90s, and tell me it's the same game. It's not. And it's not the same game for hitters because, look, there are a lot of great hitters in baseball, and we got to see a lot of them last night. Lineups were larded with them up and down. That was the one thing I will say, the one little bit of sideshow last night that I actually did kind of think was cool. All the players coming out to sign a document like they were signing the Declaration of Independence. Because at first glance, I'm like, what is this? This is lame. And then I thought about it, and like having all those names on a signed document is probably pretty awesome. Like I came around on that pretty quick. I'm not entirely a hater. I'm not made of stone here. But there's just some like hard facts about what it is to hit that kind of speed and that kind of spin from that distance, 60 feet, 6 inches. If everybody could hit like Tony Gwynn wouldn't be special. If everybody could do what Luis Ariz does in today's game, the only man to win 3 consecutive batting titles on 3 different teams. If everybody could hit like that, everybody would. But it is, you watch how guys look against, and again, I know that not every single one of you is a baseball sicko like me. Some of you are very casual fans. Maybe you tuned in last night because it was the only game in town. Some of the only baseball you watch. If you're a casual Royals viewer, take them in here and there. You tuned in for Bobby Witt Jr. and Michael Wacha. 2 things about that. If you were a Royals fan last night, you left very satisfied because, number one, Bobby Witt Jr. and Michael Wacha both contributed to a win. Clean inning for Michael Wacha with 2 strikeouts. Bobby Witt Jr. walked and scored in the American League's 3-run first. So you enjoyed that. And also, they were out of the game by the 5th inning. You could turn it off and go to bed early if you wanted to. That was it. The Royals called it a night midway through, and so could you. You didn't have to stick around if you didn't want to. But back to my broader point. What we saw last night, a bunch of guys that if you are a casual baseball fan, did you know who Jacob Latz or Lewis Varland or Brian Baker or Justin Wroblewski, did you know who those guys were before last night? And like, they're good. They're not undeserving all-stars. I'm not making these guys out to be like back when the Royals were really stinky and they had to have an all-star and Mark Redmond made the team. Y'all remember all-star Mark Redmond? Rocky great Mark Redmond. I'm not making these guys out to be him. There have been guys who made the all-star team because, well, I got to put somebody on the team. This guy's got an ERA over 5, but he's somehow 8-4 at the All-Star break, and that team's 30 games out of first place. Put him in there. Put him in the All-Star game. These guys aren't that. They're all having good seasons. They have good numbers. Like Jacob Latz has been terrific in the Rangers bullpen. Did you know he was a Ranger before I just said that? I said his name a minute ago. Did you know what team he was on before I gave you his team? If you didn't watch last night's game, or even if you did, you forgot. That is the state of pitching today. They've never thrown harder. They've never spun it faster. It's never been harder to hit. So to say that one of the problems with modern baseball is the hitters aren't good enough, the hitters don't focus on the right things, I'm not entirely dismissing the argument out of hand that there is something unsatisfying about standing around and waiting for the 3-run home run. But look, man, if it were easy to just choke up on the bat, like you do in Little League, right? You choke up with 2 strikes. You get that ball in play. You know what they're not doing in Little League or high school or most of college? Not everybody's throwing 99 with run or spinning a slider at 2,700 RPM. And you've only got that 60 feet, 6 inches to react. When they came up with that distance, when they came up with the 60 feet, 6 inch distance, you know how many guys, they hadn't invented the slider when they came up with that. Maybe somebody threw something that spun. They didn't have a name for it. Baseball evolves. It always has. The game, like I said, the game now is different than the game 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago. But go back and look. Go back and watch during COVID times. Y'all back when COVID had us all inside and we didn't have any live sports to watch, and some of the networks would rerun some old games. I forget. It was I think they was still Fox Sports Kansas City. It might have been Bally Sports by then. I don't remember. Anyway, they were running some old Royals playoff game one night, and Larry Gura was on the mound. You guys remember Larry Gura? I know some of you are old enough to remember the lefty Larry Gura. All-Star back in 1980 when he pitched to a 2.95 ERA for those pennant-winning Royals. Had a really nice 10 years with Kansas City. Won 111 games. ERA of 3.72. Larry Gura's strikeouts per nine as a Royal, 3.3. He was striking out 3.3 batters per 9 innings. I don't think he gets signed. Never mind to the major leagues today. Doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. Today's game is a power game. And for better or for worse, it's just what it is. Like, there are ways in which that's better, there are ways in which that's compelling. I like watching power pitchers. I like watching power hitters. There are ways in which the power game can be very compelling. Baseball is always going to be baseball. But to watch last night, I would hope, would be to understand. It ain't just about choking up on the bat and hitting the ball the other way. Those guys could, they would. There's a select few that maybe still have that skill, and it's not a skill that's rewarded, and it's not a skill that's taught. All of those points, to an extent, are true. But the reason you don't teach, just go up there with the, like Freddie Patek, choke up on that bat and poke it the other way. That bat explodes. That bat turns into cinders in your hands when Jacob Mizorowski is throwing 104 miles an hour. And again, he didn't pitch last night. It's not that the guys that are like that are that good, that miss that many bats, they're not the freaks anymore. They're not the outliers. It's basically everybody. If you don't strike out a batter per nine, there's really not much room for you in a major league bullpen. If you don't strike out 7 or 8 per nine, you're a fringe starter in the league. That's baseball now. Baseball was on display, for better or for worse. And I have a broader point to make, and I'll make it when we come back, that baseball is the only sport, the only one of the major professional sports that doesn't think the game is good enough to sell itself. And I don't know why that is. I wish they would just let baseball sell baseball. Talk about that when we come back. Text line is 785-272-9429. You can also interact in the live chat on YouTube. 580 Sports Talk is the name of the YouTube channel. Got my chat with Rex Van Whye coming up here in a little bit. Senior linebacker for the Kansas State Wildcats. Caught up with him at Big 12 Football Media Days. We'll run that for you. Ryan Gilbert at GoPowerCat.com. Bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. Our preseason Big 12 poll. The Big 12 didn't solicit our opinions, but maybe you're curious, so we're going to give you our opinions. I wanted to shout it at Brett Yormark, but I couldn't pin him down long enough to yell him my thoughts at Big 12 Media Days in Frisco. We got a great show for you today. Glad you're along here on 580 Sports Talk. .331 on 580 Sports Talk. We're just getting started on this Wednesday, day after the Major League Baseball All-Star Game edition of the program. Some good thoughts on the text line and in the YouTube chat. I want to get to as many of these as I can here, talking about last night's All-Star Game. Text from the 785, I hate to say it, but Greg Maddux and Tom Glavine might not even make a modern roster. Maddux was throwing 95 when he came up, is what everyone says. And, you know, the radar gun technology wasn't quite what it was. I don't think somebody who pitched like a 38-year-old Greg Maddux would have gotten much of a second look. But Maddux still had the big arm. He was a craftsman. He knew how to pitch. It doesn't feel like you have as many Madduxes anymore, guys who pitched in that way. Tom Glavine, the joke with Glavine is he would have had trouble getting signed because now with the ABS challenges, he wouldn't have gotten the 6 inches off the outside corner he used to get in his prime with the Braves, where he'd throw it like a half an inch off the plate and get the call, and then about 3/4 of an inch off the plate and get the call, and an inch off plate. And by the sixth inning, he's throwing pitches a full 6 inches off home plate, and he's ringing guys up. Again, a craftsman. And I love Tom Glavine. He was one of my first favorite players, Tom Glavine, because he was a left-handed pitcher. But, like, that's the joke about Glavine is in the ABS era, Glavine would have had to come in the zone with that fastball. You better throw an actual strike, Tom. We'll see if you win 300 games in the modern era with that velocity. He had a really good curve, too. Good pitcher. Hall of Famer. Who am I telling? Let's see about the YouTube chat. Lots of good stuff in the chat. Britt says, I'm not saying it's an excuse, but it's hard to concentrate at the plate when you're answering live interview questions like they do in some of the plate appearances. So those were a mess last night. The microphones only occasionally worked for a lot of the on-air interviews. And many of the on-air interviews were not actually about baseball. Like I think they had Pete Crow Armstrong on for a whole half an inning, and they talked about the World Cup the whole time. Which, I mean, hey, Fox, cross-promoting, brand synergy. I understand what you're doing there. You got to make TV. You got to promote the brand. I get it. But, yeah, I'm sure there's an element of that. Very few guys are actually going to be, like, entertaining to be mic'd up or good content mic'd up. And they had a lot of duds. They had a lot of duds last night. Doesn't always work. Like, I remember one year they had Freddie Freeman mic'd up, and that was pretty fun. Alek Manoah was really good when they mic'd him up one year. God, his career cratered after his one All-Star game. But he was really entertaining being mic'd up on the mound. Like, some guys it works for, some guys it doesn't. And there were a lot of guys last night that was I didn't really enjoy having them mic'd up. They weren't really giving me a whole lot of interesting stuff. Bobby Witt Jr., maybe not the most interesting on-field interview in the world. That doesn't mean he's a bad guy. Just not the best on-field interview. I understand. Most guys probably aren't because they got a job to do. They're playing baseball. Don't talk to me while I'm working. But that's just part of the broader, like, Major League Baseball produces the All-Star broadcast for people who don't really like baseball. There's not a lot of baseball in it. There's a lot of nostalgia buttons they push. The whole Sandlot thing, that you either loved that interlude to the game or you hated it. It was not for me. I didn't need that. Great moment for those kids. Like, if I were one of those kids, I would have loved it. But I didn't need that. You know, just all the constant interruptions. Like, I think the Stand Up to Cancer thing is a very noble thing to do. Obviously, it's a wonderful cause, one I support wholeheartedly. But can you imagine like the NFL doing something like that at a timeout in the second quarter of the Super Bowl? No, of course not. Of course they're not going to do that. It's an entire night marketed to people who don't actually like baseball. And Major League Baseball has spent years trying to convince non-baseball fans that actually you should be baseball fans instead of giving baseball fans a product that baseball fans will enjoy. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm the jerk. But I would rather have a presentation that is baseball-oriented rather than one that is personality-oriented, rather than one that reeks of please like my sport desperation. You are trying to convert people who are just not going to like your game. It's not everything is for everybody. The NFL, football is what they're trying to sell. Hockey will always try and sell hockey. Basketball will always try and sell basketball. Baseball is almost afraid to sell baseball. I've always felt that way. I think that's been the case for a very long time, that baseball is afraid to sell the things that make it a great sport, the games and the players. Let baseball be baseball. A lot of people really, really like it. Maybe cater to them. But again, that's me as a baseball fan talking. I used to get into it, and I know he was doing it to push my buttons, but I did radio with a guy in Northwest Kansas, Ross Volkmer. We've had him on the show. Shout out to Ross if he's listening out in Goodland, Kansas today. And he used to push my buttons by saying, yeah, I like baseball, but they should shorten the season. It should be like an NFL season. They should play like 20 games. Just let baseball be baseball, man. It's been popular for 150 years. You don't have to reinvent the whole wheel every time. Anyhow, some other thoughts. And again, I was talking about, like, last night is a demonstration of just why it's so hard to hit in Major League Baseball. And Cameron is a hard disagree in the YouTube chat. Welcome in, Cameron. Says, a lot of comments here, and I want to get to as many of them as I can. Cameron said, your same argument could be said NFL players shouldn't know how to tackle because running backs are so good and better than they used to be. I don't think that's quite the same. I don't think you can make a down-the-line analogy there. Football is very much a team sport. It is not so much an individual battle like the pitcher-batter interaction. It's not just an individual battle. It's the whole game is the battle between the pitcher and the batter. And it has never been more firmly tilted in the direction of the pitcher because they're throwing harder and they're spinning it more, and batters still have the same 60 feet, 6 inches to react as they did back when the average pitcher was probably throwing some 86-mile-an-hour puffballs because instead of going to drive line all off season, they were selling insurance or working at the box factory. Go watch footage of Whitey Ford. Whitey Ford was out there throwing about as hard as I did in high school, okay? It's a different game. Not worse, not better, not worse, just different. And the game needs to evolve. And I think hitters have evolved in the way, there's two reasons that hitters have evolved in the way that they've evolved. Matching power with power. It's so hard to get the ball in play. It is so hard. There have never been fewer balls in play, right? So you better make your balls in play count. Well, which ball in play counts the most? Home run, right? So that's why you have this idea that hitters are selling out for power. It's the most valuable batted ball. If you have a smaller sample of batted balls, you have to make more of them count. Kyle Schwarber strikes out 35% of the time. He's putting together a Hall of Fame career because he hits so many home runs. Like, that's the reward structure. And that bleeds all the way down to how the game is taught at the lower levels, how the game is scouted, the reward structure for an amateur player who wants to be drafted or a minor league player who wants to make it to the major leagues. Make your batted balls count. You're not going to get a lot of them because the pitchers are so freaking good. You're not going to get a lot of batted balls, so you have to make them count. How do you make them count? Hit them over the fence so they count for at least a run. So that's it. But I mentioned this, and Cameron, I want to commiserate with you because I know you disagree with some of my broader point, but I want to commiserate with you on this. I want to leave you on this note. And I mentioned this on Monday. We were talking about the Major League Baseball draft this past year. A bunch of college hitters went really early in the Major League Baseball draft. And all of these college hitters that went early had a better hit grade than power grade from the scouts. Contact tool appears to be a little bit more valued by Major League Baseball teams. Like I said, baseball evolves. And maybe, just maybe, in this year's draft, there's a sign, there's an indicator. Maybe this year's draft and how it went is a leading indicator that Major League Baseball teams are going to now seek out guys who make a little more contact and start swinging the pendulum back in the other direction. I don't think that's impossible. I mean, consider this. The kid who won the Golden Spikes Award, best college player in the country, the catcher for Georgia, Daniel Jackson. Big power. Hit like 32 home runs for Georgia this last year. Questions about his ability to make contact. In the past, that kid would have gone top 10. A catcher who was the best college player in America with 30-plus home runs, that kid would have gone top 10. He went 37th in the draft. Things are changing. Maybe slowly, but I do think maybe we're going to see the pendulum tick back towards those guys who prioritize the contact over the power. And maybe we start to see that a big picture sea change in Major League Baseball that then trickles down. That's the other thing, too. In baseball, it evolves top down, from the major leagues on down. Football is kind of different. Football evolves from like the grassroots up, like college concepts, high school concepts. They then make their way to the NFL. Baseball's different. It trickles down. So could start to see that. You really could. And get a version of baseball that's a little bit more contact-oriented, at least offensively speaking. Great comments, great discussion in the YouTube chat. Appreciate you folks. Want to leave on this note from the 913 and the text line. The Baseball All-Star Game beats all the other sports All-Star Games. They try hard. And you can't not, right? You can't go up there and do a silly one in a baseball game, right? The only time that's ever really happened was when Randy Johnson and John Crook or Larry Walker were facing each other. And they put the batting helmet on backwards, the whole thing. Yeah. Baseball is a sport where you can't help but bring your very best. It can't ever look like the hockey or what the Pro Bowl used to look like or the basketball. It's always going to look like a baseball game. At the end of the day, whether the pitchers dominate like they did last night, first shutout in an All-Star game in 13 years, or what, it's still a baseball game. It will always look like a real baseball game. And last night's game looked like a real baseball game in 2026, which meant there were a hell of a lot of strikeouts. Rex Van Whye joins me next from Big 12 Football Media Days, coming up on 580 Sports Talk. .345 on 580 Sports Talk. We've come now to the end of my Big 12 Football Media Days conversations with Kansas and Kansas State players. We've heard from the whole Kansas contingent. We've heard from all of the K-State contingent -1. Today we changed that my final exclusive chat from Frisco, Texas. 1 week ago today, I caught up with the senior linebacker for the Kansas State Wildcats, Rex Van Whye. And I'm going to play that interview for you as soon as I can. Dan Lucero from 580 Sports Talk with you, and joined by Rex Van Whye, linebacker for the Kansas State Wildcats here in Frisco at Monster Energy Big 12 Football Media Days. Rex, have you had a monster yet today?
I haven't, but I do need one. I mean, I got up at like 4 in the morning this morning. But
Is that your energy drink of choice, or do you have a different favorite? I won't tell anybody if you do.
I don't have a lot of energy drinks. I'll maybe do a white Monster maybe once a month.
Once a month, okay.
If I really need it.
Fair enough. Yeah, this is a long day, right? You go through the whole car wash. I'm probably somewhere between the 10th and 50th one of these you've already done today, but it's kind of an honor in a way, isn't it, to be here, to be among your peers, some of the best players in the Big 12 being here. For you to be here, what does that kind of represent to you, this opportunity to represent Kansas State at this event?
It means a lot, for this being my last year. It means that I can just represent this university and Kansas State football in a great way, and that I can be a great leader for this team. So,
we're talking to Rex Van Whye, linebacker for the Kansas State Wildcats. You're going into your final year, as you mentioned, and you're somebody that the coaching staff, Colin Klein has really mentioned, has taken a step forward in a leadership role this year. Was that intentional on your part? Were you really feeling like this was an opportunity for you under a new coaching staff, maybe a new scheme, to really sort of seize the day a little bit, seize the opportunity to become a leader, a more vocal leader going into this season?
Yeah, most definitely. I saw need in the spring that I definitely needed to step up and bring new guys and transfers and young guys that needed to bring them along. So, yeah.
How did you feel like you improved as a player last year, and what foundation do you hope that you laid for your next season, for this season, with your performance last year?
I think I got a lot more physical last year. You play a whole year like in 24 like I did, and then you just see stuff more. You can based on film study, see plays before it happens. You know what you're going to do, know what your next step is. So I think I definitely grew as a player there for sure.
Rex Van Whye, linebacker, Kansas State Wildcats, joining us from Big 12 Football Media Days here at the Star in Frisco, Texas. Obviously, new coaching staff means new scheme. New defensive coordinator Jordan Peterson. What's he like? What's it like working under him, and what kind of energy is he bringing on a day-to-day?
I would say one word to describe him, man. He's just energetic. He is really, really energetic. Just brings that juice every day, and he's going to get after guys for not doing their job, but that's how you win football games. And he just brings really good energy. Whether it's in the building, you see him at 6 in the morning. He's going to get you going, get you fired up. So that's I think it's really awesome that he just brings energy. As a young player, man, I know those guys probably aren't used to waking up at 5 in the morning, but, he'll get you going for sure.
Without spoiling too much, giving too much away, when we watch Kansas State football this fall, what is this defense going to look like? What do you think, what do you guys hope is going to kind of be the hallmark of this year's defense?
Man, we're going to be fast, and we're just going to fly around. We're going to fly around, we're going to make plays, get the ball out, and force a lot of turnovers, so.
Rex Van Whye is a senior linebacker for the Kansas State Wildcats. Tell me about the rest of the guys in this linebacker group. You've got your own experience coming back from last year, other guys who've gotten some experience, guys who've been around, Gabe Powers, Asa Newsome, guys like that. Who around you have you seen maybe assume some of the same leadership traits and make some steps forward, and who do you hope to combine with to make this one of the better linebacking groups in the Big 12?
Gabe Powers has really taken a step leadership-wise. He's kind of in the same boat as me, He saw where need was due, where you got to step up and just lead these young guys. Asa Newsome has always been a great leader and just a great voice in the locker room. He's got a lot of wisdom. He's a guy you could probably sit down and just talk to for a couple hours. And then there's two other guys that can really just make a huge impact, and Mekhi Mason and Darren Whitaker.
Mekhi Mason is a transfer in and somebody who's played and started games at a high level. What kind of player is he? I know he was one that Kansas State was very excited to get in the portal.
He's really explosive. His first step is pretty unreal. Really good pass rusher. He's all around just really solid player. Really solid.
You practice, obviously, against the offense a lot, which means you've seen a lot of Avery Johnson as he goes into his senior season. What are we going to see from senior year Avery Johnson based on what you've seen from him in the spring and in team workouts? What can we expect from senior year Avery?
Avery's been really getting after it this year and really stepped up in a leadership role for sure. I think you're just going to see, you watch all those Colin Klein highlights and how he calls the game. You're going to see Avery run the ball a lot more.
Talking with Rex Van Whye, senior linebacker for the Kansas State Wildcats, here from Big 12 Football Media Days at the Star in Frisco, Texas. Take me back to your JUCO days. You played a season at Iowa Central Community College. And I think people have maybe a picture in their head of what the junior college experience is like. Maybe they watched Last Chance U on Netflix or whatever it was. I covered junior college basketball back in the day. That's an entirely different beast than JUCO football. But what was your experience like at junior college? What were you most grateful for having had that experience?
I had one NAI offer out of high school, and, I think really a lot of JUCOs get a lot of hate. And I was lucky enough to went to a great one, and, we have pretty good facilities for a junior college. But really it's all about the people. It's all about the coaches, and I had an awesome head coach in Coach Montalto, and then my DC, and then my linebackers coach, Coach Mann. They really made it a lot of fun, and it's all about the coaches. And you find a group of friends there. I still talk to a lot of them to this day, and I'm really grateful for my opportunity there. So,
what is maybe the quintessential junior college experience that you had, whether it was a travel story or a post-game meal somewhere on the road, or what's the quintessential JUCO story that you'll say, yeah, this kind of sums up the experience?
Yeah, I think we played at Garden City, and we'd bus there, obviously, and I think it's a 12-hour bus ride. Well, for some reason, the bathrooms weren't working, and I think I had to hold my bladder for maybe 6 hours.
Oh, jeez.
So that was that's probably up there, those 12-hour bus rides, and then you'd get back Sunday morning at about 7 a.m. So, yeah.
What will you go back and tell that version of Rex Van Whye, one offer, going to junior college, the wisdom that you've gained, the experiences that you've had sitting here now, a senior on the Kansas State Wildcats? What would you go back and tell your younger self if you could?
Just keep going. I had a few injuries, and, you just got to stick it out. Can't quit, so.
Rex Van Whye, senior linebacker for the Kansas State Wildcats, joining us here at Big 12 Football Media Days at the Star in Frisco, Texas. Rex, I think they've got plenty of White Monster over there if you want to have your one for the month. Thanks for taking the time to hang out with us here on 580 Sports Talk. Best of luck in the 2026 season.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That was Rex Van Whye. Enjoyed catching up with the senior linebacker for Kansas State. Quintessential K-State football kind of story. Under-recruited, one NAIA offer out of high school, all the way up to being a starter as a senior for Coach Colin Klein's K-State defense. Look forward to seeing what he can do. I know that Klein in particular was really high on his emergence this spring, so could be a big year ahead for Rex Van Whye. We'll take a break, come back, wrap up this 3 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk with our countdown to Chiefs kickoff. But before we do that, I want to tell you about my friends at Calhoun's Jewelers here in the capital city. It's where I bought my wedding band, my wife's engagement ring, and wedding band. It was an outstanding buying process from start to finish. We were able to explore the showroom, understand what they had. They showed us some great options. We found the rings that we both love and wear proudly to this day. It was just an outstanding process. I cannot recommend Calhoun's Jewelers enough because their customer service is top-notch. Their selection is top-notch. And if you can't find the ring of your dreams, well, they'll help you design the ring of your dreams. Calhoun's Jewelers, 18th and Gage in Topeka. Back after this with more 580 Sports Talk. Have some developing news from the World Cup. We'll get to this more in the World Cup roundup, but doesn't look like it's coming home, is it, lads? It's not coming home. It's not coming home. Argentina leads England 2-1 into stoppage time in the second half. England had a 1-0 lead, played prevent defense, and even in soccer, as in the game we call football, all prevent defense does is prevent you from winning. More on the World Cup roundup coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. Our countdown to Chiefs kickoff reaches 61 days today. We're 61 days from the Chiefs opening the 2026 season on a Monday night in Arrowhead Stadium against the Broncos. Number 61 for the Kansas City Chiefs is C.J. Hansen. He is entering his third year with the Chiefs and still looking for his first appearance in an NFL game. C.J. Hansen, once a draft pick out of Holy Cross, who was taken in the 7th round of the 2024 draft, and he's hung on the practice squad over the last handful of years. Somebody who will once again be on the fringe. I'm sorry, he's played in 3 NFL games. My mistake. I don't know. Chiefs.com made it look like he'd never been in a game, but he appeared in 3 last year, 1 in his rookie year of 2024. He's never started a game, so it's all been special teams or relief work. And that's probably his role in the best case scenario for the 2026 Chiefs. Coming up at the 4 o'clock hour, the preseason ranking of Big 12 football teams that the Big 12 didn't ask for. Plus, Wildcat wrap-up with Ryan Gilbert at GoPowerCat.com on 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Hour number 2 of 580 Sports Talk on this Wednesday afternoon. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis with you on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and on your mobile device on the MSC radio app and on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. Thanks for being here. However you're checking out the show today. 1 hour already in the books. Talked a little Major League Baseball All-Star Game. Heard from Rex Van Whye. We're all done with Big 12 Football Media Days interviews.
Oh, no.
We've spent the last of those particular shells of content. A text from 785 said Rex Van Whye sounds like a supervillain name. Yeah,
it does.
Rex is a really strong supervillain name. Anything that sounds like vaguely cool coming out after Rex.
Except for Grossman.
Yeah, that's not real cool though. It's literally gross man.
Yeah, no, you're not cool at all, Rex.
Yeah, that's
Grossman.
a tough last name to overcome.
Sexy Rexy.
That's a tough last name to overcome. So I used to listen. One of the great bits in the history of sports media, I really feel. I used to listen to the Jim Rome show a lot.
Yes.
I used to listen to Rome a lot.
Yes, we've had this discussion off the air before.
I listened to him a lot growing up, and I listened to him a lot when I was younger, just getting started out as an adult. It's been a while, obviously, busy doing my own thing, but so I listen to less sports talk, like general sports talk now, because I don't want to listen to something and then that seeps into what it is that I'm trying to do. But I used to listen to the Jim Rome show a lot. And I think this was back in like 08, maybe 09, when I would listen when I was at work. I'd listen at work. I was working in Wyoming at the time, my first job out of college. And he, by coincidence, had days back-to-back on the show where he had a guest named Rex. And so the second day, everybody's like, well, you're going to get a third Rex? And I think it ended up being like 21 consecutive days he booked a guest named Rex. And it got to the point where they weren't even like, I think he booked an astronaut named Rex. Just booking people that had nothing to do with sports whose name was Rex just to continue the Rex streak. And I think if I remember right, it reached like 20, 21 guys. One of the greatest bits in the history of sports media.
That sounds like a great bit.
The Rex streak.
Yeah.
And I still, every now and again, like if I turn on the Golf Channel and I see Rex Hoggard, I think he was part of the Rex streak.
I will say that's a huge shout out to the producers.
Well, yeah,
of that show,
come
man.
on, the XR4TI, absolutely.
Trying to find Rexes
they
that are famous.
They booked an astronaut, man.
Yeah.
So that was close to 18 years ago. 17, 18 years ago he did the Rex streak. I'm pretty certain that's when it was. But anyhow, there will be no such Rex streak on this program, I don't believe. If you know a Rex and you want me to talk to him on tomorrow's show, text the program, 785-272-9429. Or if you yourself are a Rex and you would like to come on the show for 3 minutes and help us do a 2-day Rex streak, 785-272-9429. Shoot us a text. Pop in the live chat. If you're a Rex in the live chat on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk. See if we got any Rexes out there listening. Coming up this 4 o'clock hour, we've got the Big 12 preseason poll that the conference did not solicit from us. We're going to give it to you anyway. Plus, we got What Is Wrong With You, and we've got the Wildcat wrap-up with Brian Gilbert of GoPowerCat.com, the managing editor of GoPowerCat.com, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. We will get Ryan's thoughts. We chatted at Big 12 Media Days a week ago today, and we'll get his closing thoughts on Media Days and a look ahead to some football. We'll talk a little basketball with Gilbert as well. He writes a lot of hoops for GoPowerCat.com as well. Ryan Gilbert with the Wildcat Wrap-Up, sponsored by Tallgrass Windows and Doors, coming up at the bottom of this 4 o'clock hour. We still got headlines. We got a little trivia to find out if you know ball, because it seems as though whatever sample of Royals fans was solicited, they didn't know ball. So we've got you got a chance for you as a Royals fan to maybe redeem yourself and the entire Royals fan base and find out how much ball you know. We're going to do a little trivia a little bit in the 5 o'clock hour. We still got one guy to go. I've got another 4-pack of tickets to go see the TBT a week from tonight at Lee Arena. I've got a chance for you to go and see the KU alumni team against the K-State alumni team at Lee Arena. I'll give away another family 4-pack of tickets on today's show, so be listening for your cue to call there as well. Again, the text line is 785-272-9429, and the YouTube chat available as well. We're live on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk. All right. For the second straight year, the Big 12 did not release a preseason poll. I continue to believe that this is an overreaction to what they felt was an unfair treatment of Arizona State as the league's champion 2 years ago, when before the season nobody thought Arizona State was going to be particularly good. And the belief league-wide was that the fact that a team who was picked, I think they were picked like 13th or 14th in the media poll, a team that was picked that low in the poll winning the league was not good for the perception of the league. And so they decided to do away with the preseason poll, lest there be some kind of a big surprise. I don't think there would have been a real big surprise last year. I think Texas Tech would have been, if not the consensus favorite to win the league last year, they certainly would have been in everybody's top 3 or 4. Nobody would have been overlooking them preseason last year. So I continue to believe that was a significant overreaction. And maybe if the playoff gets bigger, there will be a point where the league no longer feels like it needs to protect its perception in this manner. Because, look, not doing a preseason media poll, it's not the biggest deal. It's not the end of the world. But at the same time, it was a fun thing. It was a enjoyable thing to debate. I think it probably served to motivate teams who were picked low. Maybe it was a huge motivation to that Arizona State team who won the Big 12 title 2 seasons ago. So I think there's a place for it, and I'd like to see it return someday. I think it's an overreaction that doesn't exist now.
I think that it's huge talking points, just the league. You put it out there, and your league gets talking time on major sporting shows that discuss preseason rankings, right? When there's not a lot like this, like right now, this week, if they had put it out, we may have done a segment on the show about it, right?
Right, but
now they don't. So this is
so
the
we
time
still do a segment on it. It's just not everybody's poll. It's our own. And what a perfect segue into this segment. I've got my poll. I got my 1 through 16 right here in front of me. How I think the Big 12 is going to finish in 2026. And I think that the consensus opinion is that Texas Tech will defend their Big 12 championship. I also have them at the top of my list, but I am legitimately wavering between Texas Tech and BYU. I think those are the two best teams. I think Texas Tech last year was so far ahead talent-wise to the rest of the Big 12, and they proved it on the field, right? They absolutely proved it between the white lines. BYU played them twice and got blown out twice. They crushed everybody they played. And that was even though they did not have, I think it would be fair to say, an elite quarterback. They had a good quarterback. Like, I probably was harder on Baron Morton than I should have been. Like, Baron Morton was a fine Big 12 starting quarterback. Obviously, you could win with him. Was he going to be the reason you won ever? Probably not. He was not going to be the guy that was going to carry you. But could he be carried? Was he good enough to be carried to victory? Yes. Yes, he was. He was not a detriment. And then he played like garbage in the Orange Bowl, but he was not broadly a detriment to winning in the Big 12. So Texas Tech was coming into this year, obviously feeling like Brendan Sorsby was going to be a step above what Morton gave them last year. And obviously we've been over this, but Sorsby's not going to play this year for the Red Raiders. It'll be Will Hammond at quarterback instead. I still think Texas Tech has a talent advantage. The money doesn't lie here, but do they have the kind of talent advantage that they had last year? And before you answer that question, remember that the kind of talent we're talking about that Texas Tech has to replace was an edge rusher that went number 2 overall in the draft, a linebacker that won the Nagurski Trophy and was a Heisman top 10 vote getter and went 43rd overall in the NFL draft, a defensive tackle that was a top 50 NFL draft pick, and another edge rusher who went in the top 70 of the NFL draft, and then another drafted defensive tackle. So that's the whole of the front four, and your starting linebacker all got drafted, and one of them was the number 2 overall pick. One of them won the Nagurski. I think Texas Tech still has some really good players. I think they might have the best linebacking group in the country. Austin Romaine is going to have an awesome year. It's going to irk Kansas State fans to no end how good Romaine is going to be because he's going to be healthy. Like, I think he did take a step back last year for Kansas State, but I don't think he was healthy. If he's healthy, I don't think he's going to be top 10 in the Heisman like Jacob Rodriguez, but he's going to be very good. I think very highly of Austin Romaine. I do think they're better up front. I just don't think they're so much better. So the possibility of Will Hammond maybe not being good, I think he will be, by the way. I'm probably higher on Will Hammond than the average. And the reason I'm higher on Will Hammond, I can't shake this. When he came into that game against Utah last year when Morton got hurt, I remember watching that game because it was the big noon game. It was on Fox. Big noon game on Fox from Salt Lake City. And I remember how that huddle looked so excited when Hammond came in the game. Like, they were fired up for the guy. And that, to me, said a lot about what they think of him. I think they're going to rally around Will Hammond. I think they're going to play good football around him. And I think that there might be a slight drop-off, and Hammond coming back from an injury, you never know. But I think they will be good enough to win the league. I just don't think there's as much of a gulf as there was. And I think BYU, with improvement from Bear Bachmeier, with L.J. Martin at running back, with the outstanding linebacker group they have, I would not be surprised if it's BYU who closes that gap enough that they actually overtake Texas Tech this year. But are you with me on 1 and 2? Do you think that's a clear-cut 1 and 2 in the league? Because I don't think there's an argument for anybody being in the top 2 other than Tech or BYU.
Yeah, I mean, I have Tech, then BYU. So.
Okay. I have Houston 3rd.
Yes. I'm there with you.
I have Utah 4th.
Okay, I have Arizona 4th.
Arizona. I'm a little lower on Arizona than you. Make the case for Arizona.
They've got a great quarterback.
They have a good quarterback.
Or good. I mean, they have a top 2. They have
like the best
most,
in the conference last year, according to the coaches, right?
Yes.
He was the first team all-conference quarterback. So, like, that obviously counts for something in Noah Fafita. I have concerns about the playmaking around him, and I have concerns about how much of their defensive success last year was based on their ability to force turnovers with a secondary that had 4 guys drafted.
Yeah.
Including one in the second round in Traden Stukes. So I think Arizona will be good again. I just don't think they can replicate what made them a 9-win team last year. I have them taking a bit of a step back. I have Utah 4th, even though they might not have the Utah caliber offensive and defensive lines that we've. They won't be as good up front as they were last year. like there's still a standard there at Utah, and I think if they get to that standard, they've got Devin Dampier and Bird Ficklin, that 1-2 punch at quarterback. Maybe Morgan Scalley sucks as a game coach. We won't know until the rubber meets the road, but I think they've got enough talent, and they're hard enough to beat at home to be top 4 in the league. I have K-State 5th.
I have Utah 5th.
Okay.
So Arizona, Utah for me. That way.
And then where do you have K-State?
I have K-State 8th.
8th. Okay. Okay, here's my case for having them 5th. Colin Klein, Avery Johnson. And I think the easiest schedule of anybody in the Big 12. I think this is a much more amenable schedule for them. I think they were a little unlucky to finish with just 6 wins last year. I think it is a favorable enough draw for Kansas State that they should wind up in the top 5 in the league. Because I do think they're going to come up with some playmakers on defense. I really like Wendell Gregory. I think he'll be one of the most impactful defensive players in the entire conference. Offensive line scares me. It does. But I think they can overcome it with the experience they've got at quarterback, the experience they have at running back, and with Klein's ability to call plays. And I just think there'll be a renewed energy around that program that maybe slipped a little bit the last 2 seasons. Yeah, so I have them in the top 5, but just at 5th.
My 6 through 9 was so close.
Mm-hmm.
Like I almost put K-State 6th.
Okay.
So
you have Utah 5th. So walk me through 6, 7, 8, 9.
I just think like they're 1-2 games. Like they're
which teams are they?
So at 6 I got Arizona State.
Okay.
7 I got TCU.
Okay.
Then 8 I got Kansas State. 9 I got Oklahoma State.
Okay.
Because I like Oklahoma State. I think again could if everything's hitting on all cylinders like it did with the North Texas imported team last year, I could see them finishing 6th in the conference.
Yeah, they're definitely the widest range of outcomes this year. I think is widest range of possible outcomes. If they make it rain on offense like they did in the AAC last year with Mestamaker and all the skill guys that are really good and that scheme, Oklahoma State could be a dark horse contender in the league. If it doesn't translate, they could finish in the bottom 3 in the league, and that wouldn't surprise me either. So I definitely think they have the biggest standard deviation. Like if you were to have polled the media, I think that would have been the team with the biggest standard deviation as far as top finish and lowest finish. So I
think that 9 is my line of like good, okay to good teams versus teams that are gonna have like either luck.
Teams for which a bowl would be a good outcome?
Yes.
Okay.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. So we have the same top 9 teams. We have the same teams, the collection of teams 1 through 9. We just got them in a different order. I have TCU 6th because I think TCU is a program that you get a little bit of a benefit of the doubt with Sonny Dykes and what he's done there. And Jaden Craig coming in from Harvard, a lot of experience at quarterback. I have Arizona 7. I have Arizona State 8. They have lost a lot of big-time talent. They lost 2 first-round picks off of last year's team. And I think they've taken a big step back at quarterback, even from an injured Levitt. And I think Arizona State is not quite a league contender. And like you, I have Oklahoma State, rather, right in the middle at number 9. This is where it can get a little hinky, because now we have the same collection of teams in our bottom 7. I have UCF 10th, because I'm a big Alonzo Barnett believer. And I thought they played better down the stretch last year. Frost has won there. Kind of a pressure-free environment in the league. I have them 10, Baylor 11, and West Virginia 12. And that was a group of teams that I kind of felt was very similar as far as, like, a bowl is a good outcome. They could maybe surprise some people, jump up, win 7 or 8 games. But also, if those teams went 4 and 8, it wouldn't shock me in the least.
Yeah, I've got Baylor 10, UCF 11, West Virginia 12.
Okay, so we've got the same collection of teams 10 through 12. Interesting. All right, bottom 4.
Cincinnati at 13.
Okay, I have Kansas at 13. And that is pushing my chips in on Andy Kotelnicki a little bit, because there's a chance Kansas just can't move the ball. But they don't find a solution at quarterback, and they don't find any offensive consistency all season, and they're not good enough on defense to make up for that. And there are people out there. We talked about Shahan Jayaraja, friend of the program, says he has trouble seeing Kansas with much more than 3 or 4 wins.
Yeah.
Like, that is a that's within the range of possible outcomes as far as I'm concerned. This is a bet on Kotelnicki. This is a bet on Andy Kotelnicki being able to scheme and get the best out of whoever it is takes the snaps. And I am of the thought that it's going to be Cole Ballard with Isaiah Marshall as the gadget quarterback, at least until Marshall maybe shows enough to win the job and get his athleticism out on the field more often. But that's a bet on Kotelnicki for me. That's trusting a winning coach in Leipold and an offensive coordinator that I admire, that I think will get the best out of the skill position group that he's got in Kotelnicki. And it's a trust in that coaching staff over the coaching staffs of my 14th and 15th ranked teams, which are Colorado and Cincinnati.
Okay, so I'm Cincinnati, Kansas, Colorado.
Okay. And
so we're essentially, that 3 are the same, just a different order.
Yes. And then we both have Iowa State at the bottom because we just don't know what that roster is. Yeah. We don't know, Jimmy Rogers won a national title at South Dakota State. That was also a team that he inherited that had won the national title the year before. We have no idea. But that is such an unproven roster. There are so few guys who have played at the Big 12 level, that have contributed at even the Power 4 level, that feels very much like that's the one roster I think you point to and say that's a rebuilding roster. Question of the day today. We'll put it to the YouTube chat. We'll put it to the text line, 785-272-9429. How big is the list of teams? How deep does the list go of teams that you genuinely think have a chance to win the Big 12? I go 4 deep. I would be surprised. My cutoff line is my top 4. Tech, BYU, Houston, Utah. I would be surprised if the Big 12 champion is someone who is not one of those 4 teams. And really, that's generous, because I would almost be surprised if it's not Tech or BYU.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going top 3. I think Tech, BYU, or Houston.
So how deep does your list go, listeners? 785-272-9429. Also in the live chat on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk. We'll get your thoughts on that as we go along today. We get Ryan Gilbert's thoughts on that and everything else K-State related as he joins us for the Wildcat wrap-up in about 10 minutes or so. But we'll take a timeout now. We'll come back with What Is Wrong With You. But before we do that, a quick shout for my friends at Eagle Auto Wash and Detailing Salon. Now's a good time to get that car washed. Looks like we might avoid some rain today, and hopefully we've got a lot more sunshiny days for the rest of July and into August. And if the sun is shining, you want your car to be shining too. Get the wash that's right for you, whether you want the full service treatment or if you just want to stay in your car and get the express wash. Your kids will love that, especially if they're 2 years old, like my son. He loves the car wash. But the wash that's right for you is the wash you can get, and it's a better value than any of the in-town competitors here in Topeka. So soar with the Eagle, the locally owned choice for car wash and detailing. Eagle Auto Wash and Detailing Salon. We're back after this with more 580 Sports Talk. It's What Is Wrong With You time here on 580 Sports Talk. 2 new stories today competing against our current weekly champ, Party Foul. It's the drunk party bus driver. What a summary. Yeah, the guy driving the party bus, maybe too much partying of his own, ran into 3 parked vehicles and then drove through a house while driving a party bus.
You ever just drive a party bus through a house?
Yeah, no.
That's where the house party is, not the party bus.
It is a house, yeah. A house party foul for sure. That is our current weekly champion here on What Is Wrong With You. 2 new stories. We'll start with mine. We're going to the West Coast, Modesto, California, where a man is facing federal charges after posting photos and videos of guns on Instagram, leading to his arrest and the recovery of 9 firearms. Why would posting photos and videos of guns lead to his arrest? Well, he's a felon. And what can felons not be in possession of, quite explicitly?
Firearms.
27-year-old Samian Savance was charged with being a felon in possession of firearms after posting the images June 14th and 16th. According to court documents, law enforcement tracked Savance's vehicle from Arizona to California. They attempted a traffic stop, but he led the police on a brief high-speed chase. It was abandoned for safety reasons. Shortly after, officers found the vehicle abandoned and recovered 9 firearms inside. Many of the guns matched those shown on Savance's Instagram posts. His criminal history includes robbery with a firearm and being a felon in possession of a firearm. And for those reasons, he's prohibited from possessing firearms. He faces a maximum statutory penalty of 15 years in prison. You do not have to do it for the gram.
Yeah, no.
Like, quick, just general life lesson. You do not always have to flick it up one time for the gram, particularly if what you are doing for the gram is basically posting a neon sign that says, "Arrest me."
Yeah.
If you are not allowed to have something, maybe don't post a picture of you having those things on the internet where everyone can see it. Just general rule of thumb for our guy Samian.
I've seen a few of those in my day. People I went to high school with, in high school, like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Or like after high school, we're graduated high school. Why are you showing off your firearm on your Snapchat story? Nobody cares.
Even if people did care, even if people are like, man, I want to see what my guy Samian is strapped with right now. You know who else wants to see that? The police, because you're not allowed to have them, man. You've already gotten in trouble for having them as a felon in possession. How do you do the same thing twice? What is your story today, Spencer?
We're going to Marion County, Florida. A Florida man was arrested after he allegedly threw a beer on a woman and attempted to run her over with a horse at a local rodeo, authorities said.
What? All right. So I like to go in cold with these, okay? A lot of times I go in cold. Sometimes it's not really possible because you read the URL in the show roundup, in the show notes, and the URL kind of spills the beans. But if I can, I like to go in cold.
Yeah.
I did not think the word you were going to say after run over with was going to be horse.
Yes.
Please, finish the story.
At the local rodeo, authorities said Antonio Castillo Ortega, 45, is facing multiple charges after the Marion County Sheriff's Office said he tried to run over run away from them twice as well. The incident began at a rodeo in Bellevue around 10 p.m. on July 5th when a woman told deputies that Castillo Ortega tried to run her over with a horse he was riding. An arrest report said deputies initiated a traffic stop near where the incident took place, but he tried to drive off before realizing a Marion County fire rescue ambulance was blocking the exit to the event. He ran into the wooded area, and deputies found him getting into another vehicle. An arrest report said when a traffic stop was conducted on the second vehicle, deputies said he was trying to find a place to hide in the back seat. When asked why he tried to run over a woman with a horse, he told deputies the woman was very close to him while he was on the horse. He claims the woman tried to spit on him, so he splashed his beer on her. He was arrested on several charges, including domestic aggravated assault, domestic simple battery, resisting arrest without violence. It's unclear what relationship any the victim had with Castillo. There's no other details being released at this point,
including none about the horse.
Yeah.
What do? You sick him? Like, how do you just steer the horse in the direction of the target? Like, how do you try to run somebody over with a horse?
I did not know there were rodeos in Florida either.
Well, there's rodeo everywhere, man.
I guess. I just thought it was more like a Midwest farm area.
There's rural Florida.
That's true.
There are wide open spaces everywhere. This land is a beautiful land. I guess that's my big question for this story. How do you direct a horse to go run somebody over? How do you do that? How do you the mechanics of that? This one wins today.
Yeah.
Really like this story. Man, this might be a tie goes to sobriety kind of thing here. Although, don't love that he threw his beer on her.
Yeah.
Again,
I just think it's funny. It happened. She went to police. He was like, you know what? I got to get off this horse and I got to get out of here. Oh, I can't get out of here. There's an ambulance blocking the way.
A horse,
I'm going to run through the woods and jump in somebody's car.
Horse is a lousy getaway vehicle.
Yeah.
No question about that. How loud in 2026. Horse was a great getaway vehicle in the 1800s.
Yes.
Not so much in big 2026. I still got a lean party foul. You can't get liquored up while you're driving. Your whole job is to ferry people around who are liquored up. You don't get to play.
The added in the story that he doesn't currently have a driver's license.
Yeah, that too.
And he's a professional driver.
Yeah, that is kind of a cherry on top. Party foul continues on a hotly contested What Is Wrong With You. When we come back, Ryan Gilbert to GoPowerCat.com for the Wildcat Wrap-Up, sponsored by Tallgrass Windows and Doors on 580 Sports Talk. We are joined on the Playing Place Wine and Spirits hotline by the managing editor of GoPowerCat.com, Ryan Gilbert, joining us for this week's edition of the Wildcat Wrap-Up, sponsored by Tallgrass Windows and Doors, who provide high-quality products at affordable prices. You can check out their showrooms in either Wamego or Lawrence or visit them online at tallgrasswindows.com. Excellence without exception. That's Tallgrass Windows and Doors. Ryan, how was your Media Days experience in Frisco?
It was good. It was good to catch up with you. First of all, that was the highlight of the trip, but it was a lot of fun, as always, getting down there. And you know what? I do want to say this. Fitz is undergoing, some treatments right now in Topeka, right?
Right.
You guys ought to just kidnap him and then, force him to do his segment with you guys. You're not stuck with me. But, no, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, we're glad to have you, Gills. And we know that, Fitz is going through some treatments at Stormont Vale here in Topeka. And if Fitz is listening, we wish him well. We appreciate the GoPowerCat.com squad pinch hitting for Fitz as he goes through this time. What was the most interesting thing that you took away, as interesting as press conference, breakout session, speak can be during talking season? If there was an overarching theme that you found to be interesting from Kansas State players and coaches at Big 12 Media Days, what would it have been?
There just seems to be much more of I don't know if serious is the right word to describe it, but they're really taking this business pretty seriously under Colin Klein, and that's not no shot at Chris Kleiman, but just a lot more intensity. And, that probably is the way it's been in practice and all throughout the offseason. I think Colin Klein is really starting to, set that standard, set that tone for what he wants that program to look like. But I think probably the most interesting maybe takeaway that I got from talking to these players, I did a little rapid fire with all four of K-State's representatives and, just asked them some general questions. One of the questions was, do you wish you were going to Ireland to open up the season? And, all four of the players just said no. And so you look back at last year and the way that season was just set up for, failure when you lose in Ireland and have to come back and you don't have a bye week. K-State's just set up for a much better season this go around with much more of a normal schedule. And, they're ready to attack this thing. And Avery Johnson did a hit with Fitz virtually from Media Days, and he kind of mentioned how when you have those aspirations for a Big 12 title and to do all these great things and you lose the first game and then you're 1-3 to start the season, it's hard to stay focused and stay locked in. And so this go-around seems like they're just much more mature with the approach, that it's truly a one-game season. But obviously actions are going to speak louder than words. But the words that we have been hearing have been encouraging.
It was something that I asked the four players who were present: Avery Johnson, Joe Jackson, Rex Van Whye, and Wesley Fair. Also asked Colin Klein, and it was a recurring theme and a topic that came up in press conferences as well. But I now want to know what you think is the answer to this question. How is this Kansas State team going to embody what Colin Klein referred to as the new old school? What do you think the players in particular think that means to them, and how is this roster going to kind of embody that for K-State football, getting back to an old school mindset in a world that is a new school?
Really just live it in physicality is probably the easiest way to answer that. I think all the players can benefit from that, but take a guy like Lincoln Cure, a former 5-star and a good, just athlete in general, a track star. But his year number one at Kansas State was, not a success at all. And so he needs to take that step forward. And based off of some of the stuff that you hear about him, obviously he's a great player, great athlete, but, maybe some more physicality was needed there. Track and field is a lot different than the game of football, right? There's a lot more physicality involved in football. And so Lincoln Cure, I don't want to say, and this is true for every player. I don't want to single him out, but the Colin Klein coaching staff is probably going to, raise that bar and demand and expect just more out of a player like that. And that can be said for all the players, but there's a couple in particular that I think can hopefully take some steps forward. I've got a piece, my 10 most important returners from last season. Number 9, spoiler alert, will be coming out tomorrow, and that'll be Jordan Allen. I wrote about him. Again, he was a former 4-star, hasn't done a whole lot in a K-State jersey. If you want to see the best out of him, probably gonna have to be a little more physical, right on the line of scrimmage. And so that probably permeates throughout every player. But there's a handful of guys that just that physicality. To go back to your question, just playing with more physical, play, because that's really what Colin Klein. That's where he got his bread buttered at Kansas State as a player.
Ryan Gilbert at GoPowerCat.com joining us for this week's Wildcat Wrap-Up, sponsored by Tallgrass Windows and Doors here on 580 Sports Talk. It was interesting, I thought, that the contingent of Kansas State players was broadly representative of kind of what we consider what we think about when we think about Kansas State teams. Obviously, Avery Johnson has a recruiting pedigree just about unmatched in the history of the program, certainly a quarterback, but Kansas kid. Wesley Fair, under-recruited Kansas kid, worked his way into the starting lineup. Rex Van Whye, under-recruited. One offer out of high school was an NAIA offer. He's a JUCO kid who, as a senior, has worked his way into the starting lineup. And Joe Jackson, a guy who, again, maybe not as heralded as some of the guys who've been recruited ahead of him, bided his time, broke out when the opportunity presented itself. There's something to me about that representation at Big 12 Media Days that felt very much in line with Kansas State, maybe returning to what we've understood the Kansas State football identity to be over the years. Am I maybe overreacting a little bit, or do you think that there is some of that hunger that Kansas State is trying to restore to this team, and that some of the guys who are going to be responsible for that are the guys that have traveled career arcs that are very familiar stories to anybody who's followed the history of this program? The under-recruited, the overlooked, the in-state kid made good.
Yeah, I don't think those 4 players are Kansas State's 4 best players, right? I mean, I think Avery Johnson's up there. Joe Jackson's a pretty good running back. But, on the defensive side, just a couple of those newcomers that come in, there's definitely better players in terms of just, kind of raw talent, raw skill on the roster. But, yeah, in terms of embodying Kansas State, and I guess for Colin Klein, right, what he wants a K-Stater to look like, those 4 dudes that you saw at Media Days are probably his prime examples. And so that was no coincidence. I know he mentioned, I can't remember, 10 or 15 maybe candidates that could have, been worthy of representing K-State at Media Days. But those 4, Kansas kids, hard workers. I love bringing up, your DJ Giddens of the world, Austin Moore, Felix Anadike-Uzama, under-recruited / former walk-on, you name it. That's where Kansas State traditionally has made a living. And, college football is evolving. It's rapidly changing. But one thing that won't change is there's going to be guys from Kansas. And just because they don't have a star next to their name on 24/7 Sports, that doesn't mean you can't bring them in. If they have to wait their time a year or 2 or 3, so be it. Now, kids nowadays or young men nowadays maybe are not going to be as willing to take that time and wait their turn. But at Kansas State, that's kind of what Colin Klein wants it to be. You got to earn your way onto that field. Now, if you come in with a great track record and resume, of course, there's nothing stopping you from playing. But that's what Kansas State's program's been all about. And, a player like Colin Klein as a quarterback, he lived that under Bill Snyder. And to keep that torch lit as a head coach and keep that same philosophy, that's what he's going to be doing.
I have my Big 12 preseason poll. The conference doesn't ask us for our preseason rankings of the teams anymore. Haven't done it for the last couple of years. I had Kansas State 5th in my poll of the 16 Big 12 teams. Do you think that's about right as far as an expectation that this team, given some of the potential explosiveness on offense, given a fairly light schedule relative to the rest of the league, do you think that's about right for them, a fringe top 5 team in the league with maybe a little bit of potential for more?
Yeah, I think in a vacuum, that's great, right? For a team with a new head coach. Everybody in Manhattan seems to be sold on Colin Klein, but there are just so many things that you cannot be you can't prepare for as a head coach. And so there's going to be a lot of learning on the fly for Colin Klein. He can be as prepared as he wants to be. That's just the reality of a first-year head coach. And so I think there's talent on the roster. I could give you all the reasons why I think Kansas State can compete for a Big 12 title, but there are still some question marks with a new coaching staff, new systems, new everything in Manhattan. That's not going to be easy. So in a vacuum, to say K-State's a fringe top 5 team, I'm right there with you. But when you look at, if you're into sports betting, like to win the Big 12, stuff like that, a lot of that does kind of depend on who you play, when you play teams, and stuff like that. And, Dan, I'd be curious as to the bottom and top of your list. I'm going to highly assume that K-State gets those bottom teams and avoids those top teams on your list. And so that can play a big factor, of course, into your Big 12 title hopes. So in a vacuum, this isn't the best team in the Big 12, but if the chips kind of fall in the right spots for Kansas State, you could see a team, go back down to Arlington in December and compete for that conference title. But there are a lot of question marks with the first-year head coach.
We're joined by Ryan Gilbert of GoPowerCat.com for the Wildcat wrap-up here on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. And Ryan, the Players Era 16 times for games have been announced, and Players Era didn't do K-State or its fans really a service for that opening game for them on November 24th.
No, I think they were doing Ryan Gilbert actually not a favor, but a tip of the cap to the media that will be covering it in Vegas, because I'll be out there. So it's mountain time, right? So it's just 1 hour ahead of Central, right? So it'll be 10:30 out there, I guess, which is still pretty late.
Yeah.
So maybe never mind on that. Somebody has to play at a late time spot. But yeah, that I just wrapped up a conversation with K-State assistant Karan Johnson this afternoon, a video that'll go up on Friday, our Fighting Ever Fighting series. But, just briefly talked about hey man, you got a new coaching staff coming in from Belmont. Good luck, because you're going to hit the ground running. You're going to be thrown right into the deep end at the beginning of the season, playing a damn good Gonzaga team. And then, the competition, those next couple games doesn't get any easier. And so, yeah, Kansas State's going to have to be ready, because despite a head coach that brings a lot of his assistants with him, it is still a bunch of newcomers coming into Kansas State. So that first real test will be in the wee hours of the morning out in Sin City.
Ryan Gilbert is a managing editor for GoPowerCat.com, part of the 24/7 Sports Network, and joins us for the Wildcat Wrap-Up, sponsored by Tallgrass Windows and Doors, who provide high-quality products at affordable prices. You can check out their showrooms in either Wamego or Lawrence, or visit them online at tallgrasswindows.com. Excellence without exception. That's Tallgrass Windows and Doors. Ryan, always a pleasure. We'll do it again sometime soon.
Absolutely. Thank you.
That is Ryan Gilbert. We'll take a timeout, but before we do, 785-272-9429 is our phone number, 785-272-9429. If you're a K-Stater, you want to see the K-State alumni play the KU alumni, or if you're a KU fan, you want to see that game, or if you're not a fan of either team, you just want to go to Lee Arena next Wednesday night, week from tonight, and see the TBT in action, the KU alums and the K-State alums in the basketball tournament. I'll take caller number 2 at 785-272-9429, and you're getting 4 tickets to see that game at Lee Arena. Caller number 2, 785-272-9429. More 580 Sports Talk after this. .456 on 580 Sports Talk, wrapping up this 4 o'clock hour. Our question of the day, 785-272-9429, and the live chat on YouTube. How many teams, in your mind, have a shot to win the Big 12 football championship? Mark H. thinks the list runs 5 deep. Britt agrees, says any of the top 5 have a shot. Mark B. says he thinks it's the top 6 in the league. The list maybe a little bit deeper. Mark B's list is Texas Tech, BYU, Utah, Houston, Kansas State, and he thinks Arizona State is a dark horse. From the 785, in your opinion, if KU wins 4 to 5 games, is their coach done? I do not think Kansas would fire Lance Leipold after a 4 or 5 win season this year. I do not. I think if they went 1-11 or 2-10, they might have to have the conversation.
Yeah.
But I think this year it would be a disappointment not to go to a bowl, but I think that's also probably about the ceiling. So I do not think a 4 or 5 win year would get Lance Leipold fired. I don't think you easily cavalierly walk away from that guy, given what he's already accomplished at Kansas. We got one more hour. We're going to find out if you know ball, Royals fans, in the final hour. 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Third and final hour of 580 Sports Talk on this Wednesday afternoon. Hope everybody's having a great hump day. And thanks for spending it with us here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, on your mobile device, on the MSC radio app, and on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis, hanging with you. We are with you until 6 o'clock. Once again, no Royals baseball. Royals are back in action on Friday night as the All-Star break continues following last night's All-Star game, the first shutout in an All-Star game in 13 years. The American League beating the National League by the count of 4-0. The pitchers who participated in last night's shutout, never forget these names. They'll live long in history. Dylan Cease, Parker Messick, Michael Wacha, Joe Ryan, Nick Martinez, Cade Smith, Drew Rasmussen, Jacob Latz, Lewis Varland, Aroldis Chapman, and Brian Baker. It's like I said in the top of the show, 6 of the 10 best pitchers in the world didn't pitch last night, and there were still 27 strikeouts in that All-Star game.
So I was up at 3 in the morning yesterday to take my girlfriend to the airport.
Okay.
So I was already tired. You knew this.
Mm-hmm.
But I've literally fell asleep watching this game. Usually I can't fall asleep watching sports. I fell asleep with the TV still on.
It was one of the duller ones. I mean, because it was 3-0 right away, and it stayed 3-0 until the 8th inning, and there was only one extra base hit, and there weren't many balls in play. And much as I can appreciate a strikeout, balls in play are the heartbeat of baseball. And you don't have a lot of those. You don't have maybe the most riveting baseball game. For comparison's sake, the last time there was a shutout in an All-Star game, because I'm going to go ahead and look at that list of pitchers for the American League last night. There's maybe one Hall of Famer. Aroldis Chapman's going to the Hall of Fame. Maybe. You can definitely argue to keep him out of it because not really a great guy off the field, but Chapman's got he's going to get to 400 career saves probably by the end of this year.
Yeah.
He's going to finish maybe with the highest strikeout to 9 ratio of all time. He's going to have a very convincing Hall of Fame case. But, I'm not going to clear my schedule in 2050 for the Parker Messick induction speech, okay? That's it as far as Hall of Famers go. It's him or it's nobody. In 2013, when the American League shut out the National League, that was a 3-0 win for the AL. That game was in New York. It was at Citi Field. The pitchers in that game, there's one already in the Hall of Fame, and there's 2, and I would argue 3, that should join him. So the pitchers in that game, that the last time there was an All-Star game shutout, Max Scherzer, who's going to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Chris Sale, who I think is going to the Hall
Probably.
of Fame. Felix Hernandez, who I think belongs in the Hall of
Lock.
Fame. Matt Moore, Grant Belfour, Greg Holland, Royal Great, Brett Cecil, Steve Delabar, Mariano Rivera, who somehow didn't close the game. That's wild. And Joe Nathan. Joe Nathan was the pitcher who got the save. Very strange that in a game in New York, even if not at Yankee Stadium, they didn't have Mariano Rivera close the game.
I will say,
whoever's managing the American League, they were on one there. That's wild. Jim Leland, you were crazy for that one, pal.
Yeah. I will say I didn't really miss much last night.
No, you missed nothing.
I missed a home run in the 8th. That's when I fell asleep. I watched my guy, Foster Griffin, have two strikeouts.
2 strikeouts. Everybody had 2 strikeouts.
And then I watched Stand Up to Cancer, and then that's when everything gets funny.
So, yeah,
Like the end of the fifth inning, I think.
well, I said earlier, if you were a Royals fan, that's when you could have gone to bed because Bobby Witt Jr. came out of the game for defense in the fifth. Michael Wacha pitched the third. So, yeah, you could have gone to bed in the fifth inning as a Royals fan, and you would have seen your guys. And you would have seen your guys contribute to the win. Because Bobby Witt Jr. walked and scored in the first inning, and Michael Wacha had a scoreless inning with 2 Ks.
Yeah, he had a slight grab down there at third. Or short.
Yeah. So it was a good night for the Royal participants and another win for the American League.
Then he beat out that grounder on the fielder's choice.
You know I'm a National League guy. Pains me that the National League just doesn't win that game. The National League has won once since 2013.
Yeah.
And they've won 4 times since 1997.
They got 3 hit.
Yeah. Struck out a lot, 15 times. 3 National League wins since 1997.
Pete Crow Armstrong,
That's your life.
Juan Soto, and Otto Lopez were the only players on the NL that hit. Otto Lopez
leading the National League in batting average, I believe.
Yeah, he's in 334.
Yeah. That might be leading everybody in batting average. No, it is. He is hitting better than Yordan Alvarez. Yeah, he's your current batting leader. Anyhow, that was the All-Star Game last night. Speaking of baseball, I got a disturbing email that suggests that Royals fans don't know ball. And I know
the email.
I did, and I know better. I think Kansas City, no joke here, not doing a bit. I think Kansas City is a great baseball town. I think it's a great baseball city, knowledgeable baseball fans, passionate baseball fans. Love Royals fans, love the atmosphere at the K. Even if it's not full every game, the people who are there know ball. I disagree with this assessment that Royals fans are the second least smart MLB fan base. But you are going to have a chance, you as listeners, and you, Spencer, also, are going to have a chance to show off your ball knowledge a little bit because I have the test that was used to determine league-wide fan base ball knowledge. And we're going to find out how much ball you know, Spencer.
Yeah.
And we'll see. You'll be able to play along at home as we do this. We'll do a little one gotta go, rather.
I did not click or cheat.
Good, because that's what I put in the show notes. Do not click or cheat. So we'll see how you do. One gotta go as well. You can text the show 785-272-9429. You can also get at us in the live chat on our YouTube channel. Again, name of that channel is 580 Sports Talk. So let's get into our headlines to begin this segment. And we'll start with the breaking news about another addition to the JHX Hoops roster for the basketball tournament coming up next week.
I think they needed another player.
Tuesday night, Game 1, Bramlage Coliseum. Wednesday night, Game 2, Lee Arena. We've given out some family 4-packs. I've got more tickets to give away. Keep listening this week and into next. We'll get you hooked up with some tickets if you're the lucky caller. Keep listening for your chance to win tickets to see the basketball tournament. JHX Hoops versus Purple Rain coming up next week. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday if necessary.
I think it's Friday.
Oh, Friday. You're right.
Yeah.
JHX Hoops has added Mario Chalmers, the hero of the 2008 National Championship game, Jayhawk great, longtime NBA player, most notably for the Miami Heat. Mario Chalmers has joined JHX Hoops. Last time he appeared in an NBA game was 2018 with the Memphis Grizzlies. He is older than me. He's 40 years old. And he
just turned 40.
Yeah, just turned 40 not long ago, about a couple months ago. So he joins JHX Hoops. He will be a part of the roster. He'll join the likes of Frank Mason and others for JHX Hoops, taking on Michael Beasley, Jacob Pullen, and Purple Rain in the basketball tournament. That's next week. Again, Tuesday night at Bramlage, Wednesday night at Lee Arena, Friday night, if necessary, in the best of 3, back at Bramlage. So another all-time KU great joining up with JHX Hoops. Mario Chalmers is going to play. All right, you've got some more baseball signings, some post-draft free agent signings.
You want me to combine?
Yeah,
combine
of
those
local interest. Yes,
right.
Go ahead.
Well, if you're from Topeka, you might know the name Cooper Carlgren, I believe is the name.
That is the name.
He's a Topeka native. He played his high school ball at Washburn Rural. He spent 2 years at Kansas City Community College. Came back home to play 2 years at Washburn, and then I guess a grad year he played at Lamar, where he was a first-team all-conference tournament pitcher. He has signed an undrafted free agent deal with the Washington Nationals. He was or is in the MLB Draft League. The Trenton Thunder is the team that he played for, as he just finished up college ball at Lamar. So he's going to play for the Nationals organization, and probably I'd venture to guess Complex League this summer to start things off. And see where he can go.
Probably the Complex League would be my guess. Yeah,
that's where they typically go when they're
undrafted
guys. Also, Kansas State baseball seniors. I had this name.
Shintaro Inoue.
Yes, Shintaro Inoue. I knew it earlier. I just didn't want to screw it up. And Miles Smith, they've signed free agent contract with organizations. Smith joining the Washington Nationals as well. And Inoue is joining the Athletics. They're the 5th and 6th Wildcats, respectively, to join MLB organizations. We discussed earlier this week, D. Kennedy was drafted in the 4th round. James Guyett and Tazwell Butler, other pitchers, they were drafted in the 5th and 10th round, respectively. And Bear Madliak drafted in the catcher, drafted in the 18th round. So more cats going to the professional ranks.
Quite a journey for Shintaro from Japan to Scottsbluff, Nebraska for JUCO ball, to Manhattan, Kansas, and now to, I think the A's train in Phoenix. They still, I don't know if they used to. I don't know if they still do. But I'm sure he'll be headed down to the complex leagues as well. Next headline for me, it's talking season in college football. And this week, it's the ACC's turn to have their media days. They're in Charlotte. One of the things they rolled out today was a new tiebreaker policy. Do you remember who played for the ACC championship game last year? Here's a hint. It wasn't the team that made the national championship game out of the ACC.
Was it? I can't remember. I remember this being a whole topic of discussion.
The championship game last year in the ACC was between Virginia and Duke.
Yes.
And Duke won.
Yes.
Duke was 7-5 overall, but they were 6-2 in the league, and they won the tiebreaker on the 5th tiebreaker, which was conference opponent win percentage. And that gave them the nod over Miami, who we all knew was a better team, but they got the tiebreaker. So the ACC doesn't want that to happen again. So they have installed a new tiebreaker policy that will include the team success ranking provided by Sports Source Analytics as a way to reward the team with the strongest body of work. The league is shifting to a 9-game conference schedule this year, but it's a process that will take time. So this year, 12 teams are playing 9 conference games and 5 are playing 8. And then the year after, 16 teams will play 9 and 1 team will play 8 conference games because the league has an oblong number, 17 teams. The number 1 tiebreaker will remain head-to-head, and when head-to-head matchups cannot separate tied teams, that's where they're going to bring in the team success rankings. So we're going to let computers decide who plays in a championship game. Almost like that was the best system all along, and we screwed it up when we started doing this playoff nonsense.
Yeah.
Bring back the BCS. Bring back the BCS. We had it. We had it perfect, and we threw it away. Anyway, that's the new ACC tiebreaker. Something to keep in mind when you're enjoying ACC football after dark this year. Enjoying, Cal, Boston College, or whatever. You got an NFL headline for us today.
Yes, Saints running back Alvin Kamara has agreed to a restructured contract to keep him in New Orleans. According to multiple sources. It looks like it is a reduction of total numbers on his original 2-year, $24.5 million extension that he signed in 2024. The numbers are not out yet, but he is going to remain in New Orleans and not be cut. He was scheduled to count again nearly $10.5 million with the salary cap this year, but that will not happen under the new restructured contract.
So, obviously, the Saints signed Travis Etienne this offseason, so he's going to have a reduced role.
That's not how his name is pronounced.
That's right.
I can't remember what it is.
Yeah.
But he said it in his introductory press conference with the Saints.
Is it like Eton or something like that?
Potentially.
Gosh, now it's going to bother me now.
Everybody's going to be watching games where he gets carries. And they're going to be like,
Achane.
Yes.
Yes. Travis Achane. That is how it is pronounced. Achane. Travis Achane was signed by the Saints. And you'd presume he would be running back number 1, so a reduced role for Kamara moving forward.
Yes.
So, Travis Achane.
That's the big pre-camp news of the day.
Honestly, that's a really good reminder. Thank you for keeping me on my toes with Travis Achane. That's going to take some getting used to, but we'll get there. Next headline, the 154th Open Championship tees off tomorrow at Royal Birkdale. The famed Open Championship returning to that course for the first time since Jordan Spieth won it there in, I think it was 2016. That was the tournament where he took a drop on the driving range on Sunday because he hit such a bad tee shot. He took a drop on the driving range, made bogey, and went on to win the tournament. Anyway, Gary Woodland, if you are a vampire, you can watch Gary Woodland tomorrow morning, 1:52 a.m. Central Time, tee off for Gary Woodland. That's 7:52 a.m. at Birkdale. He's playing with a couple of Hoodats. Jake Knapp and Jordan Smith are Woodland's playing partners in that threesome. Knapp is maybe a name you know if you really follow golf. He's been in contention a bit in some recent events over the last year or two, has kind of started to make a name for himself. Smith is an Englishman. The defending champion of the Open Championship and the betting favorite is Scotty Scheffler. He's coming off his first missed cut in 4 years.
Wow.
He missed the cut at the Scottish Open last week.
I think that might be enough to fuel him.
Fuel the fire? Yeah, you might be right. He's teeing off in a fascinating group at 3:58 a.m. This might be worth waking up for and putting on an extra pot of coffee because Scotty's playing with Bryson DeChambeau and Tyrrell Hatton. That has the potential to be the most petulant threesome you've ever seen. Everybody knows Bryson's a baby. Tyrrell Hatton is liable to combust at any moment. And quiet as a skep, Scotty's kind of a baby, too, when things aren't going his way on the golf course. Those guys might stomp and cry their way through a few 73s and 74s. Very real chance that could happen with that group. For those of you who don't keep vampire hours but want to watch a featured group tomorrow, you could do worse than the Rory McIlroy, Xander Schauffele, Matt Fitzpatrick group, which will tee off at 9:15 a.m.
We know somebody that's there.
Oh, we do?
Yeah, Liam Keating's there.
Oh, is Liam there?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Good for Liam. I'm picking an Englishman. I think it's going to be an Englishman who wins this tournament. I'm going to go with Matty Fitz. I think Fitz will win. I think he'll take his second major.
Like I said 2 minutes ago, I think we're going to go back-to-back with the defending champ. I think the fuel from missing
Going with Scotty?
Yeah, I think Scotty does. He has bad days, right?
He does.
Which tournament he had a really bad, Thursday or Friday, and then all of a sudden he was up there in contention on Sunday.
Is that the Masters this year? Or the PGA? It was one of the majors this year. Yeah,
it was something this year, and it was there's his fuel. So his fuel of missing the cut, next time he gets on the professional stage on the course is tomorrow morning.
It's going to be a dry, baked-out golf course. Potential for some real havoc at the Open Championship at Royal Birkdale. Let's wrap up these headlines with the World Cup Roundup.
Open wide for some soccer!
England should have known better. You don't want to take an early lead on Argentina, and you really don't just want to sit back and get real defensive protecting that lead against Argentina because Argentina's going to make you pay. Argentina scoring once in the final 10 minutes of regular time, and Lautaro Martinez's header on a Lionel Messi cross in the 92nd minute is the difference. As Argentina, the comeback kids, do it again. The defending World Cup champs are back in the final as they beat England 2-1. England had taken an early lead had taken the lead through Anthony Gordon early in the second half before Enzo Martinez hit a rocket from the top of the box to equalize, and I think it was the 84th minute, and that set the stage for Martinez's cross. England just stopped playing. Like, they had the lead, and then they said, all right, we're going to put like 7 defenders in the game, and we're just going to stop playing. We're going to put everybody in the box. We're going to go into the soccer version of the prevent defense. We're going to park the bus. And you can't do that against Argentina.
Yeah.
Everybody has tried. Egypt tried, failed. Cabo Verde tried, failed. Who else? Switzerland tried, failed. Everybody who's tried to park the bus against Argentina has not lived to tell about it, and England isn't going to live to tell about it either. It's not coming home, lads. I'm sorry to say. I'm sorry to tell you. It's not coming home, lads. It's not coming home. It's never coming home.
Yeah, and one more World Cup roundup before we close the chapter.
Yeah, the third place, England and France in a third place match in the heat of the day in Miami on Saturday. That is going to be just 90 minutes of the least intense soccer you've ever seen in your life. That sounds miserable.
Do you think it'll be a sellout crowd?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I just don't think anybody, I think guys will beg out. I don't think, if I'm Kylian Mbappe or if I'm Harry Kane, man, for who, for what? Don't play me in this third place game in 1,000,000 degrees in Miami in July. No thanks, man. I'm getting on a jet. I'm going home, man. If I'm Kane, I'm calling my boy Trump, see if he's got a tea time. I'd rather do that than playing a soccer game. Anyway, that is your World Cup roundup. It'll be Argentina and Spain for all the marbles on Sunday at MetLife Stadium. When we come back, do you know ball? Because I'm looking at a press release that says Royals fans don't know ball, and I don't agree with that. But we're going to find out if you know ball next on 580 Sports Talk. .530 on 580 Sports Talk. We're going to do a little baseball trivia today because it seems that Royals fans did not cover themselves in glory in a recent survey of 5,000 baseball fans across all 30 teams conducted by Casino.ca. And first, fans were asked, well, what team do you root for? And then they were asked, how would you rate your baseball knowledge on a scale of 1 to 10? Where would you put your baseball knowledge, Spencer? Scale of 1 to 10. Where would you put it?
5 or 6.
Okay.
Certainly I don't know as much baseball as you.
On the low end, yeah, I'd put mine. I'm not going to be humble here. I would put mine at a 10. The high end of that score, Angels and Rangers fans all scored themselves an 8, while Yankees, Red Sox, Twins, Mariners, A's, Reds, Giants, and Diamondbacks fans scored themselves a 6. Every other fan base scored themselves on aggregate a 7 out of 10, including the Royals. Then those fans were given a 20-question trivia baseball knowledge quiz, and the Mets and Yankees fans had the best aggregate score of 18 out of 20. I'll self-report I got 18 of the 20 correct. I'll let you know which ones I missed as we went through them. The Royals fans got 11 of the 20 correct, and that tied them with the Giants, Guardians, and Marlins fans for the second least smart fan base, ahead of only the Diamondbacks and the Rangers, who on aggregate got 10 of the 20 questions correct. Now, this doesn't square with me. They must have run into some Royals fans on a bad day. I don't know. Maybe they were full of barbecue and didn't get the answers right, weren't thinking clearly. I don't know.
Having fun at Power and Light.
Yeah, maybe they caught them, after a few Boulevard Tank 7s. But I think Royals fans know ball. I think our listeners know ball. I think you know a little bit more ball than you give yourself credit for, Spencer. So we're going to run through, and you may now open the link and look at the questions because the answers are not indicated. But I'm going to let you look at the answers and look at the multiple choice because this is a multiple choice 20-question baseball knowledge quiz. Play along at home. See how many of these you get correct out of the 20 questions. We're going to fly through it as best we can here on 580 Sports Talk. Question number 1, Spencer. Which pitcher threw the only perfect game in World Series history? Was it Don Larson, Sandy Koufax, Whitey Ford, or Bob Gibson?
Don Larson.
All right. Your answer is Don Larson. Number 2. What year did Major League Baseball introduce interleague play? 1994, 95, 97, or 99?
I think if I've looked at this up correctly, it is 97 because it's the year I was born.
Question number 3. Which franchise was the first to integrate in the American League? Was it the New York Yankees, Cleveland Indians, Detroit Tigers, or Chicago White Sox?
Yankees.
Question number 4. Who was the first player to win the MVP in both the American and National Leagues? Was it Frank Robinson, Reggie Jackson, Hank Aaron, or Pete Rose?
Frank Robinson.
He was a Nationals manager?
I think he was at the very beginning, if I remember correctly. I think
he was.
Yeah, he was their manager when they moved to D.C.
Number 5. Can a runner advance on a dropped third strike with 2 outs? No, yes, only if first base is occupied, or only in extra innings?
If first base is open.
All right.
Or no?
Are you changing your answer? What's your answer? Is it no, or is it?
This always gets me. I'm going to say yes.
You're just going to say yes. Your answer is yes.
Yes.
All right. Question number 6. What constitutes a balk? Is it any pitch outside the strike zone? A pitcher dropping the ball? An illegal motion or deception while on the rubber? Or a catcher leaving the box early?
C, an illegal motion or deception while on the rubber.
Number 7. Can a pitcher switch throwing hands during an at-bat? A, no. B, only once per game. C, yes, but must declare before the at-bat. Or D, only in extra innings.
I'm going to say they must declare before an at-bat because there was that pitcher like 10 years ago, maybe, the Amberdextrous pitcher, and they had to make the rule, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yes.
Okay, your answer is yes. Number 8, which catcher has the most career home runs? Johnny Bench, Yogi Berra, Mike Piazza, Carlton Fisk.
Piazza.
Question number 9, which player has the most career grand slams? Lou Gehrig, Barry Bonds, Alex Rodriguez, or Albert Pujols?
This one's controversial because he was allegedly on some stuff at some point. A-Rod.
Your answer is Alex Rodriguez. Number 10, which MLB franchise was originally called the Pilots? Was it the Milwaukee Brewers, Seattle Mariners, San Diego Padres, or Tampa Bay Rays?
Seattle Mariners.
Number 11, true or false? A pitcher can fake a throw to first without stepping off the rubber.
False.
Number 12, if a game is called in the 5th inning due to weather, is it official? No, must play 6 innings. No, must play 7 innings. Yes, after 4.5 innings if the home team is leading, or only if both managers agree.
I think it's C, yes, after 4.5 innings if the home team is leading.
Question 13, can a batter reach first on catcher's interference even if the pitch is wild? Yes or no?
No.
Question number 14, is it possible to record 4 outs in 1 inning? No or yes via appeal?
I think the answer is no, but you can, as a pitcher, reach 4 strikeouts if it's dropped.
Yes, you can get 4 you can be credited with 4 strikeouts in an inning, but that's not the question.
The answer is A, then no.
Number 15, who was the youngest player to reach 500 career home runs? Alex Rodriguez, Albert Pujols, Ken Griffey Jr., or Jimmy Fox?
I think the answer again, Alex Rodriguez.
Number 16, if a runner misses a base but scores, does the run count automatically? Yes or no, because the defense can appeal?
No, the defense can appeal.
Question number 17, which Hall of Famer was nicknamed the Georgia Peach? Ty Cobb, Rogers Hornsby, Tris Speaker, or Honus Wagner?
Ty Cobb.
Number 18, which MLB franchise has never appeared in a World Series? The Seattle Mariners, Milwaukee Brewers, Colorado Rockies, or Tampa Bay Rays?
The Mariners.
Question number 19. Who was the first player to hit 50 home runs and steal 50 bases in a single season? Barry Bonds, Alex Rodriguez, Shohei Ohtani, or Jose Canseco?
Shohei.
And question number 20. Which major rule change was introduced in Major League Baseball for the 2026 season? The universal DH, the automated ball strike challenge system, expanded playoffs, or the removal of the pitch clock?
ABS.
Spencer Dupuis, you scored a 14 out of 20.
Okay, I think
14.
that's respectable.
I think that is respectable. And also, I have to check myself. I went back and looked. And again, hand up, honest man here. I actually only got 16 of these right. I missed 4 of the, because I double-checked some of the answers, and I ended up being wrong on 2 that I thought I was right on. So I was double-checking to make sure we had them all right down the line.
Which ones did I get wrong?
We're going to run down the list. So which pitcher threw the only perfect game in World Series history? You were correct. It was Don Larson.
Yes.
It was Don Larson in 1956 with the New York Yankees. Question number 2, what year did baseball introduce interleague play? That was 1994. Was the first year of interleague play. That was the no, it was 1997. You were right, I was wrong. So we both got 15 right.
What?
You were right, I was wrong. I had it confused with the change of the introduction of the wild card was 1994. And then, of course, they ended up with playoff that year.
Yeah,
So
I
remember I had it wrong in my head. You were right. It is 1997.
I remember that because it's my birth year.
You got it. You got that one correct, and I did get that one wrong too. So, gosh, another demerit for me. I don't know as much ball as I thought, apparently. Which franchise was first to integrate in the American League? You said the Yankees. That was incorrect. The correct answer to that question is the Cleveland Indians. Larry Doby, 1948. First player to win MVP in both leagues. You had that one correct. It was Frank Robinson with the Reds and the Orioles. Number 5, can a runner advance on a drop third strike with 2 outs? You changed your answer, and it was a good thing you did. The answer is yes. It does not matter if first base is occupied. If a drop third strike occurs with 2 outs, everybody can run. Question 6, what constitutes a balk? See, this is kind of a funky one because a pitcher dropping the ball can be a balk, but not always. Like if they're off the rubber and they drop the ball, it's not a balk. So C is definitely correct, and that was your answer. An illegal motion or deception while on the rubber, that is what constitutes a balk. You were correct. Question number 7, we both got this wrong. We both thought that the answer was yes, but you must declare before the at-bat. That is no longer true. You do have to declare what hand you're going to throw with before the at-bat, but you cannot switch during the at-bat.
I think that was that rule that changed with the ambidextrous pitcher.
Yes, I think Pat Venditti was his name, pitched for the A's.
Yes.
I think he was the reason why that rule changed. Question number 8, which catcher has the most career home runs? You were correct. It was Mike Piazza.
Piazza Pizza.
Which player has the most career grand slams? I got this one wrong. For my whole life, I remember the answer being Lou Gehrig, 23 grand slams. Alex Rodriguez did overtake him. You got that one right. 25 lifetime grand slams for
I think I
Alex
remember
Rodriguez.
watching the highlight on SportsCenter when I was a kid.
Which MLB franchise was originally called the Pilots? You got this one wrong. It was the Milwaukee Brewers. They spent 1 year in Seattle before moving to Milwaukee, and that is the reason.
I got it on a technicality because it's the franchise, not the.
You got a little sideways there, but yes, it was the Brewers who were originally the Seattle Pilots for 1 year. Question 11, true or false? A pitcher can fake a throw to first without stepping off the rubber. That is false. Pitcher cannot fake a throw without stepping off the rubber.
Can't
fake a throw to first. You got it right.
Yeah.
You got that one correct. If a game is called in the 5th inning due to weather, is it official? You got this one correct. Yes, after 4.5 innings if the home team is leading. The game becomes official after 4.5 innings if the home team is ahead. Question 13, you got this one wrong. Can a batter reach first on catcher's interference even if a pitch is wild? Yes, they can. Catcher's interference is catcher's interference. Doesn't matter what happens on the pitch. Sometimes the pitch gets put in play. Seen a batted ball on catcher's interference, but catcher's interference, batter always reaches first. Is it possible to record 4 outs in an inning? You and I both got this one wrong. Yes, you can. The 4th out does exist. And you can.
What?
Yeah, the 4th out does exist. It is a legal out made by the defense after 3 outs and a half inning have already been made. If the fielders make a subsequent out following the 3rd out that prevents a run from scoring, this out will supersede the apparent 3rd out. The defense can successfully appeal while the ball is still live, and the umpire calls a temporary 4th out that replaces the existing 3rd out. For statistical purposes, the 3rd out is undone, and the 4th out's result is recorded instead. Go read the Wikipedia page for this. If you don't believe me, I'm going to have to dig into it because I'll be frank, I'm a little tied up by that one. Like I said, I got that question wrong. Next question. Who was the youngest player to reach 500 home runs? I got that one wrong. I thought it was Ken Griffey Jr. It was not. It was Alex Rodriguez. You got that question correct.
These are things that, like, SportsCenter growing up, I remember seeing. Like the career grand slams, his 500th homer.
Sure, yeah. Again, that was one where I had an idea in my head, and I guess I've just kind of forgotten Alex Rodriguez's entire career.
Well, it's controversial.
Yeah, it's his own fault.
Yeah.
If a runner misses a base but scores, does the run count automatically? You and I both correct. No, the defense can appeal the run and try and get the out previously on the base paths. Which Hall of Famer was named the Georgia Peach? You were correct. It was Ty Cobb. Which MLB franchise has never appeared in a World Series? You got that correct. It was the Seattle Mariners. Still looking for their first. They were 1 win away last year.
Yeah, that's why I remember.
Who was the first player to hit 50 home runs, steal 50 bases in a single season? It was, of course, Shohei Ohtani. You were correct there. Jose Canseco was the first to 40-40. And what major rule change was introduced in baseball for the 2026 season? That was, of course, the automated ball strike system. So, 15 out of 20 for both of us. Strong showing. Better than the average Royal fan.
I guess I should say that I'm more of like a 7
yeah.
or 8.
So the only fan bases to score better than a 15 out of 20 were the Cubs, 16, the Phillies, Angels, Tigers, Red Sox, and Blue Jays, 17, and the Mets and Yankees average an 18 out of 20. Orioles, Dodgers, Cardinals, and Pirates fans averaged 15. You can say you are smarter than the average Nationals fan who scored a 12. I can say I'm smarter than the average Rockies fan, which I've known my whole life, because Rockies fans scored a 13. How did you score if you were playing along? Tell us in the live chat on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk, or in the text line, 785-272-9429. We'll take a break, play a quick One Gotta Go when we come back. Quick shout out to the ball knowers in the YouTube chat. Mark B beat us both. Got 16 out of the 20 correct on that baseball knowledge quiz. Vance got a 15 match star total. I knew we had ball knowers in the chat. I know Royals fans know more ball than Casino.ca was willing to give them credit for. All right, one gotta go time. A good book, a good TV show, or a good movie? One gotta go.
Ooh. A good, you're talking about like you don't need.
Like, yeah, one, like, yeah, you can do with, like, if you've got two big blocks of time and you can't do one of those things because you can do one in one big block of time, you can do one in another big block of time.
I gotta say movie. Because
movie
like,
gotta go?
Yeah, because movie, you're just sitting there anywhere between like an hour and a half and 2.5 hours, and it's just one thing. And if it's a show, like, you can split it up. Like, you
That's
can
true.
watch it. Like, you were talking about, I don't know if it was on the air yesterday or not, but you were talking about the new Netflix show that you and your wife were watching.
4 seasons, yeah.
Yeah, we split it up over, like, we watched 2 episodes at a time for a week.
That works a lot better for us with a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
I have not watched a new movie in a very long time. I don't know.
Like, I guess I'm in agreement with you then.
Yeah, I'm out on the movie too, just because like I enjoy like the silence of reading a book sometimes, and yeah, I'd rather watch a TV show than a movie. Like if I'm gonna sit through one like 2.5 hour narrative, it's going to be a ball game. You can chop up the TV show a little bit easier.
I don't
Binge
know.
it.
I'm a Friday night movie guy or Saturday night movie guy.
Okay.
Like,
I used to watch plenty of movies, but it's just not something that we've got the time for anymore.
yeah.
Do you have a one gotta go today?
Yes. In honor of the All-Star Game last night,
Sure.
which one needs to go? I guess we're not going to include the All-Star Game because it's still at least a game. The Pro Bowl, the 3-on-3 hockey weird tournament style thing, or the NBA how many points can you score show games?
Yeah, the NBA thing is just to the point where it doesn't look like anybody's even having fun with it anymore. Like, at least the hockey one, and even the Pro Bowl games, like, the players are having a good time.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem...
I think it's like the Pro Bowl games are now shifted more towards the players because they suit up and they go at each other, and that sounds weird. They play a very physical game, 17 regular season games a year. Plus, if your team makes it into the playoffs, that's 18 or 19 games if you're playing in the Pro Bowl. So, like, they're just out there having fun. Like, Micah Parsons was voted to the Pro Bowl even though he tore his Achilles or whatever,
right,
or ACL, and he was out there on a scooter having fun. Like, they made it for the players, and like, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, like, it's not for me. It's not something I'm terribly interested in, but I've seen, like, the clips of it, and the players are enjoying themselves. And so if you are inclined to, that's a lot more like enjoying the players as personalities.
Yeah.
And if that is your thing, if that is something that that you enjoy, I could see deriving some enjoyment from the Pro Bowl games. The NBA All-Star Game, like, the dialogue around it anymore just feels very joyless. Just feels like nobody's really having a good time with that anymore. Like, some of the players don't even really seem to have fun playing in the game. So, yeah, that's one that, like, it's also the one that my wife thinks needs to exist the least. I remember I think we hadn't been dating all that long, and maybe a year or so, and I put that game on when we were together one night, and she said, "What is this? This isn't even sports. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. Why would anybody watch this?" And my wife, as always, was right. She was right. It doesn't need to exist anymore. They got to really rethink it. Although the thing is, I don't know what you do. Like, that, to me, like, the NBA, you talk about NFL and personalities. The NBA seems very personality driven.
Yeah.
I don't know, though, what you would do, because people are bored of the slam dunk contest. Or maybe it's just us old guys who are bored of the slam dunk contest because we were alive for the Vince Carter slam dunk contest, or we were alive for Aaron Gordon dunking over the car, and it just feels stale to us now.
I think it
maybe it doesn't feel stale to, like, 10, 11, 12
Yeah, I
year olds.
mean, I don't know. I think, like, that's the better part of the event weekend. Excuse me.
Yeah, like, the 3-point contest still has some appeal. Maybe you could do some, like, I don't know, play horse. Like, I don't know. But, like,
I think the celebrity All-Star Game, too, like, to an extent, like, makes sense.
maybe leaning into that stuff and away from the actual game. Maybe that's the way forward for the NBA. We'll take a break and wrap up One Gotta Go. We come back with the final word on today's 580 Sports Talk after this. Final word time on 580 Sports Talk. What you got for today, Spencer?
Yeah, no Big 12 preseason poll because of whatever they didn't want to do, officially putting it out, whatever their rationale is. But I really do think the fight to get to it's Jura World, right?
Yep.
Is a 3-team, maybe 4-team race this year. As it stands right now, come back to me second week in October, third week in October, and we'll see where things are. But I really think Texas Tech, BYU, along with Houston, really have a leg up on everybody that's in the top 5.
All right, for my final word today, we don't have any sports going on tonight or anything. This is the only vehicle I have to complain about this. If you do the Wordle on a daily basis and you have not yet completed today's Wordle and you don't want it spoiled, go ahead and turn off your radio for the next minute. Give you a second. Turn off your radio, kill the stream, do whatever you got to do. You get 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. That was the worst Wordle word in the history of Wordle. I've been doing the Wordle a long time, before it even got bought by the New York Times. What the hell kind of word is pshaw? Did you know it was a word? Pshaw? P-S-H-A-W? Man,
No.
I sat there and looked at that thing for 20 minutes. What the hell kind of word is pshaw? Are you kidding me? It's the all-time stupidest word in the history of the Wordle. I'm just throwing letters in there and hoping it's a 5-letter word at some point. Terrible. Do better, New York Times. All right. I had to get that off my chest. We got more sports talk coming your way tomorrow from 3 until 6. For Spencer Dupuy, I'm Dan Lucero. This is 580 Sports Talk. Good night.